Alright, and so we're on to animating our camera. Now, you'll have a camera already, which is just here for us, and it may or may not be animated, but I'm going to take this from the top. So I'm going to open up the properties of the camera. I'm going to drag and select these keyframes. I'm just going to delete them. So right now, nothing is happening except for our 3D animated titles are working. Now, again, it's good to have a bit of a play around before you start animating and see what controls control what. Now, I've got, and I'll open up two views here so we can see what we're looking at. I've got what we call the point of interest, which is this dot just here, and you can see when I move that around, these numbers here start to move as well. Now, the point of interest is pretty limited. It can only really pan up, down, like so, forward, back, and not much of a zoom there at all. But you can still use it to animate. The position changes the position of the camera itself, not the lens. And so we can actually do a pan by moving both the position and the point of interest at the same time. For example, if I am to, and again you can move your controls down here for more exact movement, or if like me you like to move across here, you can too. So you can see, we move this camera side to side and do a pan, both of these controls are being moved. So I'm going to allow you to do any sort of camera movement you like, as long as you don't get any of this horrible images off screen. So we want to try and make it look as though we're actually on a moon or a distant planet somewhere. So I'm going to start in shot, and I think it's a great position to start our keyframes. Okay, everything's where it should be. Maybe I'd like to look up a bit more into the sky. And again, as long as you've got your slider on 0, any changes you make down here will automatically update the keyframes. You do have to be very careful though. If I'm even 1 millimeter of a second off, like I am here, and I change it, it's actually going to make a second duplicate keyframe. You can't even see it from here. I'm going to zoom in, and there you go. 1 frame difference changes it that much. So you do have to be very careful. Again, to get rid of that, I can just hit delete, and the keyframe's gone. I'm going to zoom out again. Okay. So my movement, I'm planning on taking 10 seconds, and we can see the composition actually runs up to 30, but I don't want it that long. I only want 10 seconds. So I'm going to go up to here, I'm going to go composition settings, and change this to 10. Done. Now our composition is 10 seconds long. During this time, let's have some movement. So I might tilt the camera a little bit, like so. And again, that's going to stay where it is. But I do need to zoom in a bit because I've got a bit of my mountain clipping there. So I get my zoom control, sorry, wrong one, just there. And I might zoom into that planet, I think. So at maybe 7 seconds, I'm going to zoom into the planet. So zoom just there, and can also change a point of interest as well by clicking and dragging that. So I've got the planet just there. Now we're going to move our titles as well, because at the moment they sort of get cut out a little bit. Although that could be cool, but you need to spend more time focusing on the titles, otherwise this will go too quick. So again, we can go back to 0, hit space, and that's going to render out for us, which means the computer's processing the information, and once we hit the green, like there. That's running in real time. So we just need to move our scrubber back, hit space, and it's actually quite a slow, deliberate camera move there. Not very exciting, but does make almost a good open sequence. So there are many things we can do here as far as animating, but sometimes just keeping it simple does make it look the best. You can overcomplicate things, and that's something we don't really want to do while we're still learning. Now, I think we'll put one more movement in, which is just a bit of a pan. So I've made sure I'm on 7 seconds exactly, and if you're not sure, please zoom in, because you will notice a change if you're not directly on. And I'm just going to move that camera on the X just a bit. Just like so. Okay, great. So that's camera movement and animating covered. Now the last video, we're going to cover how we make this look a bit more realistic and move our titles so they are in the correct spot, and add a few blurs and effects as well.